Hello, good evening, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Natasha. I am 30 years old. I live in London. I'm originally from Cheshire, and I post daily vlogs talking about whatever's on my mind. And today, I am talking about all of the addictions that I have had thus far. And so far, what I've counted is 36 addictions so far that I have had and beaten. Round of applause for myself. Quite proud of that one. So starting from the addiction when I was the youngest, I was born and I couldn't go to sleep unless there was noise around me. So either being in the car or having the Hoover on or loud music soothed me. So I think I was addicted to noise and chaos from a really young age. And then from what I can remember, I was around 4 years old when I was first heavily addicted to sugar. I would do anything to get my hands on sugar. I would manipulate, my dad was hard to manipulate, but my mom was really easy. I would just throw a tantrum in the supermarket and lie on the floor and scream until I got what I wanted. I would steal things out of the cupboards. I would just steal things, period. I would go to friends' houses where I knew their parents would give me sweets, and I didn't like going to the parents that ate healthily or didn't give me sweets. I was just this sugar addict that was trying to find my fix constantly throughout my childhood, and I would go to any means to get my hands on sugar. Then from 4 years old, I can also remember being addicted to fantasy and having my first romantic infatuation with a boy who was in my class, and I was really attracted to him because he was naughty and he was cute, and I was obsessed with him. And I spent so from 4 to 16, I saw him date pretty much all of my friends, and it was never me. And I not that I hated that, but I just always felt like I was never good enough for him, and he would never date me, and never told him, but I was just so infatuated with him. So yeah, and when I was in a classroom, I would often slip into fantasy and daydreaming about boys and unicorns and just things that weren't of reality, basically, because I was bored or I was escaping my reality. And I am diagnosed with ADHD and autism, so it kind of makes sense now. But this fantasy is also an addiction that I have, and that now I've become aware of it, I don't slip into fantasy anymore, because I can catch that, okay, you are trying to escape reality and making things up in your head again. And yeah, being in 12-step recovery and getting sober has taught me to just make sure that I'm staying grounded, and that I'm rooted in reality in every moment of every day. Just basically not being a delusional bitch, because it didn't get me anywhere. So I decided to try things differently, and now I'm less delusional. And that quickly brings me on to manifestation boards, because I just saw this in the corner of my room and I thought, actually, I want to speak about manifestation and why I don't believe in manifestation anymore, because I used to manifest things into my life almost immediately, and I know I have the power to do that, but I've realised that by giving up my will and handing over my will to God, He has such a better plan for me. And whenever I force things and manifest things that I want, I might get them, but then ultimately I'll lose them. And things that God has for me are slow, steady. They're like forever things that aren't going to be, obviously anything can be taken away, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, giving up and surrendering to letting whatever happens be, and not having expectations and not forcing things to happen, then life flows and it just feels so much better. Okay, so we're only up to number 4 and we have 36 to go. Addicted to victim mentality. I was bullied since I was 4 years old, and even though bullying's not nice, I think I became addicted to this kind of pain and addicted to being the victim, like poor me. Because even though I never told anyone about my bullying, I began to get addicted to the negativity loop, the negative loops in my head of I'm bullied, I'm not good enough, I'm suicidal, I'm lonely, boop, 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 boop. When really I wasn't rooted in reality, because when I got home from school, I was replaying all the things people said to me and all of the feelings I had and fixating over that. And then I'd eat the sugar to numb myself out, and then I'd watch the cartoons to take my mind off it, but I couldn't just be in my reality. So therefore, I think my victim mentality was another addiction. Tick. Next one, clothes, purchasing things, magazines, materialism, again from as far back as I can remember, so like 3-4 years old. I would throw tantrums, and I would get fixated on a pair of trainers or a new coat or an outfit that I had to have. And even if my parents told me we don't have the money, I was obsessed with getting this thing, and I couldn't rest until I got this thing. And for me, that was the addiction of materialism, thinking that when I get this thing, it's going to make me feel better. Or when I get this thing, the people at school will have more respect for me. I was seeking external things to fix my internal brokenness. Materialism, tick. Then skipping ahead to 12 years old, alcoholism. I first got drunk when I was around 12, and when I say drunk, I mean blackout drunk. I remember it was on a field, so me and my friend went into her parents' liquor cabinet, and we took a little bit of every single drink, and they had loads, like Tia Maria, vodka, gin, whiskey, brandy, everything, you name it, all the spirits, and we put them into plastic bottles. And I remember drinking it and spinning around, playing Dizzy Dinosaurs. What in the devil possessed me to do that, to mix this bottle of what looked like canal water, drink it even though it was making me feel sick and my body was clearly rejecting it. I was like, but I was swallowing it, and I was spinning around to get, which got me drunk even quicker. But what possessed me, like I didn't even have like access to the internet then, so it's not like I knew, or I knew I was an alcoholic. That's right, I was an alcoholic. And that night I passed out in the park, and apparently everyone could see my knickers and my bra, and the next day at school everyone was like, oh my god, you arse was out on the park. And also after that I went home to my friend's house, and instead of going to the toilet, I went into a spare room, pulled my pants down and peed in her spare room, and her parents were furious. And then after that I just continued drinking like that every single time until like 2 years ago. Alcoholism, tick. Cannabis. This started when I was around 14. I'd had 2 years on the booze. Then I felt like, find something else. Then I realised, the first time I ever smoked weed, I was sat by a river. I didn't know that you were supposed to put tobacco in it as well. So it was just big lumps of weed in a Rizzler, and it was like, it looked awful. I lit it, and it just went, and I hallucinated. The river closed in front of me, and I hallucinated, and I remember thinking, wow, this is some magic stuff. I love it. And I just kept doing it. Never hallucinated on it again, but I did find shrooms later and other stuff, but that was never an addiction. I feel like if anyone's got addicted to psychedelics, mind blown. It's too much for me. I loved it. I did it frequently, but I wasn't addicted to it like I was addicted to weed. So the weed actually ended up becoming a daily occurrence for about 7-8 years of my life. Woke up, couldn't leave the house without it. Honestly believed I couldn't function without weed. I couldn't sleep without weed. I couldn't eat without weed. It was just a horrible, horrible addiction. Tick. Nicotine kind of went along the same time as my alcohol and weed, so probably between 12 and 13 or 14. Definitely tried cigarette when I was like 11, I think. And then by 14, I was smoking 20 a day at least. Mainly because I wanted to look cool in front of the older people. So nicotine, and then nicotine I didn't give up until a year ago. So that one stayed strong. Caffeine, probably more in my recent years since I'm like getting older and still have to work to pay the bills, and in my workaholism, another addiction, ding ding, tick. Let's cross off. I didn't even write down workaholic. Oh yeah, I did. That's number 9. Cross that off already then. Workaholism and caffeine just go hand in hand, because when my body tells me I'm too tired and I'm doing too much, it's like, nope, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm just going to down some coffee and carry on and harm myself because I want to fulfill my materialism and create a false security that money is going to make me feel better and money is going to make people respect me more, because no, it's not. It's really not. Caffeine. Sex. I know that my dad watches this and maybe my grandparents, so I'm not even going to go into that. Maybe on a different video, a different day. Codependency. All of my relationships have ended up being codependent. If that person is away or I'm away from that person that I'm in a relationship for a certain amount of time, I start to feel panicky. I start to feel like, oh, they're never going to come back. I start to feel rejected, abandonment issues. I start to freak out. I can also become avoidant, and I avoid people and I close myself off out of the fear of being hurt. So yeah, I could talk about codependency all day long, but I'm definitely codependent. I've done a lot of healing over the last few years, so hopefully the next relationship I get into is going to be sweet. But, you know, things might come up. Sweetener. Oh my God, this one was awful, because as some of you may know, I'm in Food Addicts Anonymous, and I commit my food to a sponsor every single day. With the weight and measurements, and you're not actually allowed to have any kind of sweetener. But when I first came into the program, I was just lying to my sponsor because I needed something to take the edge off. Like, I was overweight, and in the first 90 days, like, I was starving because I had weight to lose, and I was using sweetener to kind of get through those moments of hunger. But it got to a point where I was using, like, you know, the Canderel powdered sweetener. I was using like 2 of those in a day, and I would make my coffee in like a big Sports Direct mug, and I would just like fill it with this sweetener, and it turned into like a fluffy foam that tasted like marshmallows. So I was like telling people in the program that I was abstinent, but I was actually doing all this weird stuff with sweetener. And my eye, and I started to get really bad twitches, like my face was literally like and I googled and I found some facts about aspartame poisoning, and that's what I had, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not gonna kill myself with sweetener. So then I quit. Exercise. I've been addicted to exercise, which went in with my binge eating disorder, because I would binge exercise. I'd wake up at 4 a.m, exercise for 2 hours. It was so painful. And then I'd go and eat like 6 bars of chocolate. and then I'd feel guilt and shame, so then I'd go back to the gym the same day. I'd work out for like 2 hours, then I would go into the changing room and I would like binge on protein bars, telling myself that, oh, I need all this protein because I've just burned all these calories. And then I would like binge whilst I was walking home, and then I would just lie on my bed feeling so full and in pain and being like, okay, set my alarm, I'm gonna get back to the gym at 5 a.m. And it was like this such toxic cycle that went on for like 2 years. It was so draining. The worst thing is I was fat. I didn't even look good. I looked awful. I was working out so much, spending so much money on gyms, protein. It was awful. I was like so depressed as well. So there we go. Exercise and food. Me, I don't know what that says. Can't read that one. Addicted to validation, codependency, diazepam. Yeah, before I stopped drinking, the 2 years before also went in hand with my workaholism, because I was so stressed because I was working 7 days a week and I wasn't giving myself any chance to relax. And I couldn't relax at all because I was scared of relaxing, because relaxing meant I'd have to feel my feelings. So rather than working less or relaxing, I used diazepam to treat myself like a machine. It was like, get up and work, da-da-da-da. As soon as I'm ready to go to sleep, I take the diazepams, switch myself off, dum, 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 dum. And it's just escaping reality, honestly, with diazepam. Balloons with one of my exes. He was mega rich and I was living in his flat, and he used to go into the office and leave me alone all day with nothing to do. I wanted to work. He said that it was embarrassing if I worked. So I would find myself sat alone in his flat, quite lonely sometimes. And he had like a NOS balloon addiction, and we were both alcoholics together. We'd drink like at least a litre of vodka every day. And he would order like 1,000 balloon canisters at a time. So when I was sat in his flat by myself all day, I would just be sucking these balloons. It gives you like a 30-minute high, like poppers, and I'd just be sat there watching YouTube videos whilst doing balloons. Also hand in hand with Xanax, which I didn't even use them to put myself to sleep because I was using alcohol to do that at that time, but I was using Xanax throughout the day to deal with my toxic relationship. Like, my body was so allergic to this guy and this relationship, but I was just ignoring it. Popping Xanax down, like, to chill me out, and not realizing that it was actually my environment that was causing me all of this anxiety. Ketamine, when I was living in Ibiza, I did ketamine every single day. I did actually cocaine and ketamine every single day because I could bring myself up on the cocaine, and I could, when I got too high on cocaine and MDMA and uppers, I'd bring myself down with the ketamine, and I found that I could keep myself going for like 5 days doing that. And I loved Ibiza so much, and I was so addicted to the music and just the whole, oh, it's an amazing island, but it was killing me. Yeah. Skin picking. That's one that's actually been coming up to me recently. I've been picking my scalp. I don't know why that's addictive, but it's just another form of self-harm. I think picking my skin, picking my nails, biting the skin on my nails, it's just not good. It's just another addiction. Daydreaming, already touched on that. I've been doing that since I was a kid. OCD. I was speaking to this about this to somebody earlier, that I remember when I was 8 years old, I had OCD because I couldn't leave the house without checking all the plug sockets, even if I was in someone else's house. It wasn't my house. And yeah, I think because I'm autistic and ADHD, my ADHD is really messy. I'm in quite a messy period now. My room's messy. But then I'll go through periods where I can't deal with mess, and I'll just be like a military person for months on end. And then it might be bipolar as well. I haven't been officially diagnosed, but I think I do have bipolar. Anyway, addictions: OCD, tic, media, online validation, dopamine hits from likes and comparison. Porn, not going to go into it. Poppers went hand in hand with the porn. If you know, you know. 27, toxic friendships. Again, that goes into codependency and victim mentality, and a lot of these were like intertwined with each other. I've been addicted to sleep, especially through periods of depression, because I've been not wanting to face my reality, that I just keep forcing myself back to sleep because all I want is the days to pass, because I'm in so much pain. So I've been addicted to sleep. Addicted to, I don't know if you could call this one addiction, but I'm addicted to instability, and that is like jobs, relationships, houses. Whenever something starts to feel stable, I try to self-sabotage it, because I think I'm addicted to instability and chaos, and I find peace in the chaos. Not healthy, dangerous. I wrote number 30, partying / the sesh. Again, if you know, you know. Just after parties were my thing. Not anymore, thank God. I am 2 years sober. Over 2 years sober. And I'm so proud of myself. Quantities, I've touched on that. Binge eating and exercise. Coconut water. This is since I've been in recovery. This one was just pure embarrassing. My addict brain told me, because I'm not allowed to drink anything in between meals apart from water, really. But I find loopholes. So I told myself coconut water is water. And it's not, it's full of sugar. It's full of sugar, and I was addicted to this sugar. And I wasn't telling my sponsor. And I know that I was, acting out and being an addict. I was drinking 4 litres a day. 1, it was expensive. 2, it was really harming me, because I was drinking it until my stomach felt like it was going to rip open. And I would just be in like so much pain. So it was just like the binge eating, but I was doing it with coconut water and just telling myself that I was abstinent in FA, even though I wasn't. Then I got addicted to onion and garlic. Couldn't eat any of my meals without onion powder, garlic granules, onion granules. Basically to bulk my food out. Again, I was just kind of like cheating and telling myself I was abstinent, but I was like using this food as a drug. And yeah, I was really addicted to it, and I had like a few anaphylactic shocks because I ate so much garlic, and I even had to go into A&E, and it still didn't stop me. But the one thing that did stop me is, one, I think my kid's autistic son has like a real sensitivity to smells, and I went to the cinema with him, and even though I brushed my teeth twice, he was like repulsed by the smell of my breath of garlic, and he wouldn't even get in the car with me, and it made me really sad. I stopped eating garlic. Snooze, Nordic Spirit, it was rotting my gums. I would have like 5 in at a time. I remember the guy I was in a relationship with, because I would always get blackout drunk and have all these snooze in my mouth. They would like slip down my throat in the night, and he said that he would have to like put his hands down my throat and pull them out because I was like literally choking on them, but I was asleep. So I actually could have died if he wasn't there. Snooze, vaping was horrendous addiction. That I only gave that up about maybe less than a year ago. I was doing 4 Elf bars. I was just so addicted to the vaping, and it was this insanity, and I wasn't even feeling a hit off anymore. I went into church and I was just like, went to the prayer team and I was like, I'm powerless over vape. I'm making vape my God. I'm obsessed with vape. And they said a prayer for me, and after that day, I never touched vape or wanted vape again. Like, the smell repulses me. And this is just one of the many, 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 many reasons that I believe in God and walking a Christian path. So yeah, there's all my addictions for now. I'm sure more may pop up in the future. If you have any addictions, current or previous ones that you are struggling with, or ones that you've overcome, please share in the comments. Makes us all feel less alone. And I love to hear from you. It makes me smile a lot when I get a comment. So yeah, thank you and good night. God bless. That's all from me.